First, we pray to Ganayaka Ekadanta Varadayaka Vinayaka and ask him to bless us. Then we will ask for the blessings from the goddess of speech, Ma Saraswati, who rides the swans and also has a veena in her hand. We also seek blessings from our Guru. We pray to Panduranga with the blessings of God. Now the author tries to translate into English, line by line, about the importance of all the 9 planets, Navagraha, which was written in Gujarati and then translated into Marathi in many verses long ago. After listening to this narration with due concentration, all the obstacles in your path will be removed. Vikramaditya once ruled the city of Ujjaini. He was a righteous intellectual philanthropist and ever anxious to relieve his subjects of any misery. He treated his citizens like they were his own children, and they in turn regarded him as their own father. One day, there were many learned and wise men in his court, so the king decided to commence a discussion about which planet was superior among the group of the 9 planets. So the wise men opened their books and scriptures and came forward to take part in the discussion by telling the audience about their favorite planet. The first wise man started with the planet Sun. He said, "The sun is very important and the chief deity as all the rest of the planets move according to his command. He is called Surya Narayan, which means sun god. Sun gives life to all creatures and is the brightest planet. All persons who worship Surya Narayan get everything in life. One can get rid of pain due to illness and poverty just by thinking about the sun, and those who worship the sun will have all their desires fulfilled. Though all the 9 planets are powerful, Surya Narayan has great strength and has the power to enlighten the whole world. We can see this with our own eyes, and this is why he is the greatest of all planets." Then the second wise man stood in front of the assembly and said, "Moon is the best planet. Moon is a gardener and owns all the plants and trees. At night, he gives light to all plants and trees and nourishes them to grow. He is the king of the night with a huge body. He has 16 phases, is of clear mind, and troubles no one. In fact, he is famous for his calming effect. And this is why Lord Shiva keeps the moon on his forehead to soothe him. Moon gives pleasure to all, so it is nice to worship the moon." Then the third wise man stood up and said, "Mars is a goldsmith and is very powerful and very cruel. We do not know about his cruelty, which is like the edge of a sword, and we don't know how it will swing. However, Mars will bless his worshippers and will always be happy with them and will fulfill their desires. Those who do not worship Mars due to their pride will face his wrath, lose all their wealth, descendants, and ultimately be ruined." After this, the fourth wise man started to say, "Mercury is very powerful. Of all the planets, Mercury has amazing valor. He is a merchant and is on the apex among the 9 planets. If Mercury is pleased with you, he will make you rich and make your path to success free from any barriers. Mercury is very wise and not cruel. He removes the worldly worries of everybody at all times." Then the fifth wise man said, "Jupiter has amazing power. Jupiter is ranked first among the gods, including Indradev. The extent of Jupiter's knowledge is beyond comprehension. He is full of mercy to his devotees. He removes earthly pangs and crushes the negative outcomes of your deeds. Just by looking at him, you will be rid of all the sorrows, pain, and poverty. Brihaspati is most desirable among the 9 planets. Jupiter is Brahmin, the highest caste. All the gods respect him and listen to him. Even if you don't pray to the other planets, just by serving Jupiter, all other planets will be pleased. Even Lord Shiva prays to Jupiter, and this is why Jupiter is ranked first. Then the 6th wise man said, Venus is a very good planet. Venus is known as Shukra in Sanskrit. Shukra favored demons by using the Sanjeevani mantra for rejuvenating demons after their death. Shukra is also the guru or spiritual master for the asuras. All the 3 universes are under his command, and he has boundless power. Shukra will destroy all the deeds, good or bad. Just by chanting his name, all obstacles will vanish. Those who worship Shukra obtain limitless courage. Shukra's body is bright and shining, and he is one-eyed. Just by remembering his name, you will be rid of all the pains, illnesses, and even poverty. His greatness is legendary in the scriptures, and that is why he is the greatest of all 9 planets. After listening about these 6 planets, King Vikramaditya nodded his head and said, You have all done an excellent job to describe the greatness about the planets, so we should all remember these planets all the time. Now let us know if any other planets are left, and if so, let us hear more about them as well. Then some of the men said, Rahu and Ketu are 2 very peculiar planets. They both come from the dynasty of the Asuras, demons, and belong to Matang caste or tribe. Both of them are very cruel. The moon and sun are scared of these planets and shudder just by looking at them. Rahu troubles Chandra, while Ketu troubles Surya. We observe this effect every time an eclipse occurs. They also trouble all humans as well as other creatures. O King, both of them trouble all of us as per their nature, just as both of them look alike. However, they are appeased when worshipped, so we should always remember to worship them. Then the 9th wise man said, Shani Saturn is the greatest planet of all and has the most amazing strength. We do not know his style, but a person gets away after getting Shani Dev's blessings from all curses. He is the cause of all pain, but can also give great happiness. When he gets angry, he will give a person many problems. Shani Dev gets angry very quickly and is capable of causing the complete ruin of an individual. And this is why many people worship him for his blessings. His appearance is that of an oil man, and his body is black. He walks lamely, but is handsome, and he worships the god of time, Kal Bhairava. He is undefeated in any battle, whether the battle is with the gods or the demons, and can crush anybody merely with his looks. Now listen to this story about his wonderful eyesight. When Shanidev was born, he looked at his father, the sun god, with his charioteer and horses. As soon as he looked at them, the sun god got infected with terrible skin disease. The charioteer turned lame and the horses became blind. They all tried very hard, but no other remedy worked. When Shanidev looked at them again, the sun god with his charioteer and horses became normal and healthy. When King Vikramaditya listened to his talk, he laughed and said, "It is useless to give birth to this kind of a son. The son is just like an enemy. O wise men, let me know, if this kind of son damages so much at just after the birth, how much more damage he might do later on." King Vikramaditya said this very loudly while clapping his hands in mockery. As King Vikramaditya finished saying this, a very strange thing happened. Please listen very carefully. At that time, Shanidev was flying in that vicinity on his chariot, and upon hearing the king's comments, he descended his chariot and entered the king's court. When the wise men saw Shanidev on his chariot, they told the king that Shanidev was there. So the king immediately stood up and bowed down at Shanidev's feet. But Shanidev pushed him aside and said, "You are an arrogant king and amazingly good in sarcasm and taunting. So now I will show you the wonder that you will never forget. Because you spoke about me with such sarcasm and mockery, I, the Saturn, will move in the place of Virgo in your horoscope. Then you will see my amazing powers and results of your bad luck." After saying this, Shanidev embarked in his chariot. Deeply upset, the king begged for mercy and asked for forgiveness, but Shanidev refused and insisted that he would definitely show the bad results and swiftly flew away. So the king was sad and started to think. He said to the wise men that he was very silly for making fun of Shanidev, and through his impulsive comments had hurt Shanidev's feelings unnecessarily. Now Shanidev will definitely trouble me. So what shall I do? Is there any way I can fix this situation? But deep inside, King Vikramaditya knew what he did was wrong and accepted that whatever is going to happen will happen. So the king became sadder about his fate. He adjourned the meeting of the wise men and went to his bedroom to rest. Then 1 month passed and Shanidev moved to the 12th house of King Vikramaditya's horoscope. This is supposed to be the worst and cruel situation that could happen in anybody's horoscope. Then the wise men said that the king should worship Shanidev, as Shanidev would definitely rule over his horoscope for the next 7.5 years. Since the king made fun of Shani, Shani would trouble him as he could trouble all the 3 universes. The wise men then showed the method as how one should worship Shanidev. They said, "Listen to this method very attentively. First, take a shower with medicinal herbs. Then, take an iron horseshoe and make an idol from that horseshoe. Then install that idol in an earthen pot. By pouring a mixture of oil and water on the idol, start worship. Then repeat Shanidev's name 23,000 times. Once this is complete, give gifts to the Brahmins as if they were Shanidev. When the Brahmins will be happy, think that Shanidev is happy." Then the king said, "But Shanidev would not be pleased with me. So let happen what is going to happen." Then he told the wise men to leave and go home. After a few days, one afternoon, Shanidev came to Ujjaini disguised as a horse trader. King Vikramaditya also came there and inquired about the horses' prices. When Shanidev said, "Try this horse and you will know what the real worth of this horse is," then he brought a nice horse with a rider on the horse. The horse rider moved the horse in circles. The horse had a very good speed. Then he brought another beautiful horse and said, "This horse is worth 1,000,000 rupees." He immediately brought this horse in front of the king and asked him to ride the horse. The king mounted the horse and used his whip to make the horse run faster. This made the horse to run at the speed of wind. To calm down the horse, the king whipped him again, but the horse started to run faster and faster, as if the horse was flying. Soon, the horse took the king far away on another side of the river into the forest. When the horse eventually stopped, the king stepped down to examine his surroundings. Immediately, the horse disappeared, and also the river and the forest disappeared. He thought, nobody knows how God acts, so why should he bother about the horse or the river? Night began to fall. King Vikramaditya could no longer see the path in front of him. So he rested his head on the ground and fell asleep. When the sun rose in the morning, he began walking and walked slowly, about 8 miles. towards a city called Tamlinda. Now, let us see what happened in the city of Ujjaini. 8 hours passed and still the king did not return. So all the citizens of Ujjaini waited and waited. So Shani Dev, disguised as a horse trader, asked the Prime Minister either to pay the price of the horse or return the horse. So the Prime Minister paid the full price of the horse. Then Shani Dev, as the horse trader, went away. But the Prime Minister became very sad and he started to search for the king. All the citizens participated in the search all over the kingdom. Now let us see the condition of King Vikramaditya. As he entered the city of Tamlinda, he met a very rich merchant who owned a local shop. The merchant's name was Shripati and his sale was always double. After seeing the king, the merchant thought about him as a very fine gentleman, so the merchant invited the king to his house with some calculated schemes. He asked the king to refresh himself by taking a shower, and then he inquired about him as a formality. So the king replied that he was a Kshatriya and came from a foreign land and was in transit. Then the merchant ordered nice meals of 6 flavors for Vikramaditya, and whilst dining asked Vikramaditya to stay for the night and leave in the morning. After the dinner, the merchant asked for more details about the king, very frankly, as he had some other intentions about the king. So it happened that the merchant had a daughter of marriageable age called Alolika. Alolika could not find a suitable match for her, nor could the merchant find one for her. So the merchant had an idea that this Kshatriya would be a good match for Alolika, so he went to find her to tell her the good news. When he found Alolika, he excitedly told her, "I found a very good match for you. Please marry him without any hesitation." But Alolika said, "Let me talk to him and then I may judge from the way he talks whether this Kshatriya is a good match." So she asked her father to send the Kshatriya to the guest room, which was a studio for a painter. Shripati went back to Vikramaditya and told him that the studio was available if he wanted to sleep. So keen to not offend his host, Vikramaditya went to the guest room. When the king reached there, he saw that there were many good paintings of the birds, such as swans, peacocks, nightingales, etc. He saw the paintings of animals such as horses and elephants. The paintings were so realistic that one could feel that the birds and the animals were alive. He sat on the bed, which was decorated with jewels and beautiful colors and flowers. He also noticed that there were many lamps in every corner. On seeing this, he was astonished and kept on marveling about the customs of this place. Then he thought about what to do and decided to face the next moments as they come. Deep down he knew that Shani Dev, who bothers all, must have planned these events. And with these thoughts, Vikramaditya tried to go to sleep. Unfortunately, his mind was still at unease, so he covered his head to try and get to sleep. After a short while, Alolika entered into the studio where the king was sleeping. She brought with her all the paraphernalia as per the custom of that time, such as 5 oil lamps and a plate with flowers, etc., to greet the king. She did beautiful makeup and also wore a pearl necklace and used very aromatic perfumes. She wore anklets. She also adorned herself with diamond ornaments on her hands, which were shining very brightly. She was looking like a beautiful statue and stood in front of Vikramaditya, who was pretending to be asleep. As he did not awaken, Alolika thought for a while and sprinkled some water from a sandalwood jug onto Vikramaditya. Still, he did not wake up. Thus about 2 hours passed, so Alolika got tired and took off her pearl necklace and hung it on a peg on a nearby wall. Eventually, she fell asleep, somewhat worried and disappointed. When Vikramaditya uncovered his head and started to think, Who is this girl and why is she sleeping next to me? Keen to not commit any immoral doings, Vikramaditya decided it would be best to control his desires and treat this girl like a daughter and talk to her in that respect. Then he looked around and again saw the paintings. Suddenly, as if it were a miracle, the swan from one of the paintings came to life, approached Alolika's pearl necklace and grabbed it with its mouth. The king was astonished to see this and thought that it would be wrong to snatch the pearl necklace from the swan's mouth, as it would hurt the swan and it would be against his principle of not hurting any living being. So he watched as the swan swallowed the entire necklace. Confused about what he witnessed, Vikramaditya fell asleep. The next morning, Alolika woke up and thought to herself, "This person is the greatest fool of all. For the whole night I was sleeping near him and he never awoke. Clearly, the Kshatriya has no manliness." She was very angry and felt insulted that Vikramaditya was not attracted to her. So she started to leave the room and looked for her necklace on the peg. To her amazement, the necklace was missing. So she woke up the king and accused him of stealing the necklace. She ordered him to return the necklace and get out of the kingdom. She also threatened to tell all the villagers about what happened and told him that he would face public humiliation and shame for his theft. So the king said that he did not take the necklace, and just because he slept there, he was being accused. So Alolika became very angry and immediately told her father that the perfect match he brought home was a mere professional thief who stole her necklace. Then she told her father to get the necklace from the guest and send him on his way. Then Shripati asked Vikramaditya, "I gave you a nice place to rest, gave you a nice dinner, and on top of that, I was about to offer you my daughter's hand in marriage. But in spite of all this, you stole her necklace? How foolishly you have behaved. And that's the way you're returning my favors. So return the necklace immediately and go away from where you came." Vikramaditya said to the merchant that he did not take the necklace, and as a result of his fate and his decisions, he was in trouble. On hearing this, Shripati got even more upset, and he ordered his servants to tie the king up and beat him mercilessly until the necklace was returned. The servants did as they were ordered and beat Vikramaditya mercilessly. The merchant kept on saying, beat him, return the necklace immediately." After getting so much beating, the king got fatigued and said to the merchant, "I do not have the necklace. You're beating me unnecessarily." Then Shripati thought that this guest was a real seasoned, experienced thief and he would not give the necklace. So, being a very practical person, he went to the court of King Chandrasen of Thamlinda city and told him everything. After hearing Shripati's complaint, King Chandrasen ordered Vikramaditya to be brought to the royal court for questioning. So a group of Shripati's servants rushed to bring Vikramaditya in front of King Chandrasen. Vikramaditya bowed down to King Chandrasen and stood in front of him. Then the king ordered Vikramaditya to return the necklace to Shripati to save his life. And when he replied, saying, "I never speak lies. I did not take the necklace. Unnecessarily, you are all thinking of what really has not happened. The position of planets in my horoscope has not been favorable. This gives me a lot of trouble. So what is the point of thinking about what happened? Whatever has to happen, happened. One should not rob, but he should be forgiven. So please have mercy." After listening to this, King Chandrasen became furious and thought that Vikramaditya was playing games with him. In that furious state, he looked red like a red hot coal in the fire. So he said in a roaring sound to the servants, cut off his hands and feet and throw him out of the city and leave him without food and water. It was Shanidev who spoke through King Chandrasen, and hence Chandrasen was not thinking properly. Immediately the servants got ready and took King Vikramaditya out of the city and cut off his hands and feet mercilessly. So all the citizens wept for this disaster. Then the servants went to King Chandrasen. The king said, "There is no point to think whether he survived or died after cutting off his limbs, because he will surely die." Now King Vikramaditya was in great agony day and night due to the severe body pain, hunger and thirst. He was twitching like a fish without water. Some people who used to pass by saw him and felt very sorry for him, but they were helpless due to the fear that it would make King Chandrasen unhappy if they disobeyed the order or not to give water or food to him. Vikramaditya also was weeping and was begging for mercy from Shanidev. So Shanidev became merciful and compassionate and thought that King Vikramaditya is now pushed to the limit of agony. So he made King Chandrasen think mercifully, and therefore he decreed, "It is okay to give food and water to the limbless thief." Then King Vikramaditya got plenty of food and water, but being limbless, he had great pain all the time and used to scream day and night due to the agony. Vikramaditya suffered in this state for 2 years. Now, it so happened that later on one day, one oilman's wife was going to her in-laws' place. In those days, travel for some people was done by carrying the traveler by 4 strong men on a chairlift, and she was being carried like that to her in-laws. She was passing through the forest where Vikramaditya was laying down, limbless. She was originally from Ujjain, and her in-laws stayed in the city of Tamlinda. Since it was on her way, she saw King Vikramaditya. She wondered why the king was there. So she got down and went close to him and thought that without his limbs, he must be in a horrible situation. When the king Vikramaditya saw her and said, "May you and your husband live for a very long time, and let me know any news from back home in detail." She said, "Everybody is okay and doing well back home, but how did this happen to you?" When he replied, "This is the result of my fate. The position of the planets in my horoscope was not favorable, so the god put me in this condition." Then he narrated the whole story. So the lady said, "So that is the luck you have." Then she told the other man, who were around her actually, to carry the king on the chairlift and brought him to her house with great respect. When the oilman, her father-in-law, saw the limbless king, he was very frightened. The oilman thought that King Chandrasen would be angry if he knew that he was supporting this thief. Being punished by the king, this would be a grave mistake. But his daughter-in-law said that this limbless person was in fact King Vikramaditya of Ujjaini, and it was their fortune that they could bring him to their home. She further said that the king was like a jewel thrown in the heap of garbage. Unconvinced, the oilman went to see King Chandrasen and told him that he wished to house the condemned thief, as he felt compassion for the limbless thief. So the king allowed the oilman to bring the limbless thief home. When Vikramaditya told him, "Please do not disclose to anybody who I am. This is fine with me. You will stay here and I will provide you with food and clothes, etc. And you may help me operate the grinder to extract oil from the peanuts and other nuts." Then King Vikramaditya agreed. "You have done this favor for me very wisely and saved me from the disaster that was bound to befall me. I'm very grateful." With this kind of an arrangement, of course, with a lot of hardship, the king stayed with the oilman for the next 7 years. Now, the next part of the story needs a lot more of your attention, my friends. One evening, King Vikramaditya somehow started to sing while he was operating the grinder. The musical composition of Raga Deep is mostly sung or played in the evening by the artists. So the king was singing Raga Deep with extreme precision in the most melodious voice. It is said that if Raga Deep is sung with intense accuracy, the oil lamps are lit automatically around them. As such was the situation, thousands of oil lamps were lit automatically as the king started to sing. The whole city was illumined as if the festival of Deepavali started. That time, Princess Padmasena was sitting happily in her one-pillared palace. When she saw the bright light outside, she called her maids and asked them, "I'm really surprised there's no wedding ceremony, nor is it time for the festival of lights. So please find out quickly who's having this festival." By this time, Vikramaditya finished the musical composition. Soon after that, the lights were turned off. But then he started to sing the musical composition of Ragashri. So Padmasena said to her maids, "It is certain now that this singer is not an ordinary singer. He must be an expert musician. Please find out where he lives, and better yet, just bring him over." So the 4 maids went to search the whereabouts of the singer and found him operating the grinder at the oilman's place. So then they told Padmasena about the singer accordingly. They also told her that the singer looked like a clown, being a limbless person. But Padmasena insisted that they bring that singer to her palace so she could even consider marrying him, even if her father, King Chandrasena, convicted him as a thief. Afterwards, the maids agreed to bring the singer if she would take the responsibility to face her father, King Chandrasena. So Padmasena assured them that she would tell her father everything. Thereupon, the maids brought the singer to her palace. Padmasena said to Vikramaditya, "Please continue your singing, as I am very much eager to listen to your music." So the king started to sing like an expert in a very melodious voice in the princess's palace. King Chandrasen could hear his singing in his palace. So he asked the maids, "What is going on in the princess's palace?" As if there is festivity going on for day and night. So the maids replied with a request, "Please go to the palace of the princess and see it for yourself." But as the king was very sleepy then, he postponed visiting his daughter, the princess. King Vikramaditya was sitting in the princess's palace with too many worries. Shanidev's curse for 7.5 years was about to subside. So he was thinking when Shanidev would be pleased with him, so he would return back to his city of Ujjaini. While he was thinking in this way, Shanidev appeared happily in front of him. Shanidev said to him, "It looks like you have not recognized me due to ignorance. Did you not experience enough of my wrath?" So the king tried to stand up, but being limbless, he lay down on the ground in a gesture of bowing down to Shanidev. Then Shanidev said, "I am pleased with you, King Vikramaditya, so ask for any blessing from me and I will fulfill your wish." So the king said, "I only wish that you will have mercy and not give any more trouble to mankind. I have suffered a lot, but rest of the people cannot bear suffering the way I have suffered. That's the only thing I'm asking as a boon from you, Shanidev." So Shanidev restored his limbs and turned his body beautiful again. Then the king bowed down to Shanidev and said, "You will have mercy and you will not give any more trouble to mankind." So Shanidev said, "I may have troubled you a lot, but you should see how much more trouble I caused to Gurudev. As compared to Gurudev's trouble, your trouble will look insignificant." Listen to the stories about how I troubled the gods and the demons, the asuras. One morning, I bowed to Gurudev, and this is Jupiter, Brihaspati. Then I requested to him with my folded hands, please accept me in your zodiac sign for next 7.5 years. So Gurudev said, please do not come into my zodiac sign at all. And I replied, you do not like me and you want to avoid me. In fact, nobody wants me. So please let me be with you for at least 5 years, or perhaps for at least 2.5 years. But Gurudev still refused me. So I told him boldly, one should respect his Guru and not trouble him. Since Gurudev protects like a mother, those who do not respect Gurudev will surely go to the abyss. So I bowed down to Gurudev and requested him, ask me anything as I am pleased with you. So Gurudev said to me, again, I'm asking you not to bother me. So I was pleased with him and said, I will be in your zodiac sign for only 15 hours. That is basically 7.5 prahars. And you cannot refuse me now. So finally, Gurudev agreed that Shanidev could be in his zodiac sign for 2.5 hours. Gurudev thought and boasted that he would spend his period of 2.5 hours just by taking a bath in the river and then praying to the gods. This prayer is called the Sandhya prayer. So Shanidev could be helpless and there would be no harm to him. Then Shanidev knew that Gurudev was thinking this. So Shanidev decided to show his miraculous power. As it was the right time for Shani, Guru became eager to take bath in the river Ganga. Guru was then under the shadow of Shani, and Guru's appearance changed. Shanidev appeared as a monk and offered Guru 2 cantaloupe fruits. Gurudev gladly accepted these 2 cantaloupe fruits, put them in his bag and gave the monk 2 coins in return, and Gurudev kept on going forward towards a city. It so happened that day the prince and the minister's son of that city had gone hunting and did not return home for lunch. As several hours had passed and still there was no trace of the prince and the minister, the king Bhrigu sent his servants to search for them beyond the borders of the city. The servants saw Guru in the Brahman's dress with a bag containing 2 cantaloupe fruits. At that time, Shanidev turned those fruits into 2 human heads. The king's servants saw Guru, the Brahmin, and asked him, what do you have in your bag? So the Brahmin, Guru, said, I have 2 fruits that I will eat later. The servant said, but there is blood dripping from your bag. So we don't care whether you are a Brahmin or a low caste person. Show us immediately what is in your bag. As soon as Guru saw the blood on his bag, he was scared. The servant snatched the bag from the Brahmin and opened it to see that there were indeed 2 heads belonging to the missing prince and his friend. So they scolded the Brahmin, you do not have remorse in killing these 2 children mercilessly like a cruel demon. You have committed a heinous act, you unworthy Brahmin. So they shackled the Brahmin and while beating him, brought him in front of King Bhrigu. When King Bhrigu heard the news about his son, he fainted and said, oh God, I lost my only son. This Brahmin who killed my son is like a death messenger. So he must be punished by the death penalty and must be executed by hanging him on a sharp-pointed iron pillar outside the city limits immediately. There was a lot of commotion when the news about the prince's death spread in the palace of King Bhrigu. It is difficult to write the details of the commotion for the fear of expanding the story. Anyway, the prince's wife decided to leap into the fire out of grief, as per the custom of those days, and she was prepared to do this self-immolation, sati, an act of self-sacrifice. Meanwhile, the servants took the Brahmin to the sharp-pointed iron pillar for the execution. The Brahmin became restless and could not think anything but his bad luck. He requested the servants, please wait a while for the execution. I will give you 10,000 rupees if you wait for a couple of hours. The servants felt compassion when they heard the Brahmin's plea and decided to wait for a couple of hours. By this time, the limit of 2.5 hours set by Shanidev was over. The prince and his companion came riding back, just as about the same time as the execution. They knew that what might have happened, so they ordered the servants not to execute the Brahmin and bring him back to the king. The Brahmin blessed the king and explained everything to him. The king felt sorry and said, "I would have committed a great crime by giving your execution order without knowing the full details. I would have been the greatest sinner of all time. Due to the ignorance and the ego of my royal power. So please forgive me." And he began to cry. Then he ordered Gurudev by giving him and other Brahmins feasts with gifts of clothes and ornaments. So Guru said that this happened due to the curse of Shanidev. Then he opened his bag and indeed there were 2 cantaloupes. Then Shanidev came near Gurudev and asked him how it went so far. And he replied, "In just 2.5 hours, you have ruined me. I cannot imagine what would have happened if you had full 7.5 years to ruin me. Though I'm the highest ranking planet, you have indeed obliged me. In fact, you are the greatest planet. However, whatever happened for good. So please do not trouble anybody anymore." So Shani said, "One should not brag and blow his own horns. I will trouble the person who brags about himself." "Gurudev, you boasted, and so I had to act like this. Please forgive me for my act." Then Shani went to see Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva said to Shani, "What is the purpose of your visit? First, take my appointment and then only visit me." While they were discussing like this, Shani suggested that he would visit Shiva on the following day. After listening to this, Shiva was hiding in the Kailash mountain for some time. Then he asked Shani, "What did I do to you so that you want to trouble me?" So Shani said, "Oh Lord Shiva, all the 3 universes are scared of you and you are hiding from me out of fear? This is enough for me." Then Shiva smiled and said to him, "You are great and your brilliance is overwhelming." Then he ordered him to leave. Then Shani was at a critical position in Lord Sri Ram's horoscope. Thereby he had to live in the forest. And same thing happened in Sita's horoscope, with the result that Ravana kidnapped her. Ravana conquered all the 9 planets and imprisoned them under his seat. So sage Narada commented to Shani, "You are proud to be the greatest planet, but your condition seems to be helpless. It seems that you can trouble only the weak. There is no bravery." So I told Narada, "I'm helpless as Ravana had made my face upside down and hence I can't see him. As soon as I can cast my eyes on Ravana, I will destroy him." So Narada went to see Ravana and told him, "It is not nice to walk on the back of the enemy, but it is nicer to walk on the enemy's body with the face up, to see your face. So you should turn their faces to face you." So Ravana agreed and turned all the planets face up. As soon as Shani could cast his eyes on Ravana, he ruined him and his entire family within 6 months and ultimately killed him through Lord Rama. Then Shani came to the cruelest position of the 12th house of King Harishchandra horoscope. The king lost his kingdom. He was in deep trouble, so much that he had to sell his wife. Not only that, he had to sell himself to a low-caste person called Domb. Due to Shani's influence, the king Nal had disturbed the consternation of sage Kaushik's penance. So sage Kaushik cursed him and his queen Damayanti, that suffered a lot of suffering. Shani said, "This is how I trouble the greatest of the kings." Indra Dev was under the spell of Shani Dev. so he could not think properly and had an affair with the wife of Gautam Rishi. As a result, Indradev got holes in his body. When Shani was in Chandra's house, Chandra got blemishes after touching his guru's wife with a bad intention. When Shani was in the bad position of the horoscope that belonged to sage Vashishta, he lost his 100 sons. He also troubled Shara, who under Shani's spell had an affair with a fisherwoman, Parashara. Due to Shani's spell, Pandavas lost everything and had to live in the forest. Under Shani's spell, Kauravas lost everything in just a moment. Same thing happened with Lord Krishna, and he was accused of stealing the Samyantak jewel. You can read more about these incidents in the book Hari Vijay. Then Lord Krishna said, "You are the greatest planet. All the gods and demons are scared of you." Shani said to King Vikramaditya, "This is how I trouble gods and demons. I troubled you just a little bit to demonstrate my extraordinary power." Then the king got up immediately and bowed down to Shanidev and said, "I am surrendering to you for your mercy, and please favor me by giving me the boon that you will not trouble anybody." So Shani said to Vikramaditya, "You are also great, and you think of the pains of other men and women. There is no parallel to your thoughts." And he was pleased with Vikramaditya. He gave his boon to Vikramaditya. "I will never trouble those who will read or listen or preserve the story. I will be pleased with them and will protect them day and night. I will bring wrath to those who will not read the story or ridicule the story." One should read this Shani Mahatmya every day or at least every Saturday without eating anything in a happy mood. If you cannot do this, you should at least listen to the story day and night. This will make me happy and I will not trouble them. Shanidev further said to Vikram, "Such person will also have good fortune, and this is my promise to you." Shanidev went to his abode after blessing the king. Now listeners, please pay attention to what happened next. When Shanidev met with King Vikramaditya in the princess Padmasena's palace, King Vikramaditya's body became very radiant as if the sun was shining. King Chandrasen was very stunned and speechless when he saw him, because he was looking like a beautiful statue of Madan. Madan is a very handsome god of love according to Hindu scriptures, similar to Cupid or Eros, the handsome god of love from Greek mythology. When Padmasena married Vikramaditya, at this time King Chandrasen asked King Vikramaditya, "Sir, who are you?" And he replied, "I am your thief. So first of all, please call the merchant Shripati." So the group of servants rushed to bring the merchant Shripati, who was resting on a bed. The servant said to him, "The king has summoned you to his court, so please hurry." So the merchant rushed to the king's court and bowed down before the king. When the king asked the merchant replied, pointing to King Vikramaditya, "This is the thief indeed, so please come to my house." When all of them reached at the artist's studio, they noticed that the lifeless swan from the picture took out the pearl necklace that was swallowed by him. Everybody was surprised to see this and said, "Though it is impossible, the lifeless swan, as a matter of fact, did swallow the pearl necklace." And this great man was blamed. When the merchant saw this, he was very happy and gave his daughter away to Vikramaditya in marriage. Then King Chandrasen asked Vikram, "Where did you come from? Where is your family? Where were you born?" And he replied, "My name is Vikramaditya and I am the king of Ujjaini." When King Chandrasen heard this, he bowed down and said, "I have offended you very much, and now please have mercy on me. Had I known this earlier, you would not have suffered. how this could be undone when I have acted unknowingly. Vikram Aditya replied, this happened due to the planets' positions in my horoscope. Also, as I did not worship Shanidev, I had to suffer. You think and act according to the planet's position in the horoscope. Now, you're talking to me in this manner because the planets are in favorable position in your horoscope. Then King Chandrasen spent a lot of wealth from his treasures to celebrate the occasion. He also spent a lot of wealth on charity and pleased the beggars. Then he called the oil man, who hosted King Vikramaditya. Vikram bowed down to him and pleased him by giving him a lot of land. Chandrasen was smiling on his endless good fortune as he had Vikram as his son-in-law. After about a month, Vikram told Chandrasen that he would now leave for Ujjaini. Chandrasen then bid him farewell with all the etiquette, such as giving him gifts, servants, elephants, horses, part of his army, land, including cities. The merchant also gave many gifts, such as expensive jewels, when he gave away his daughter to Vikram. Then King Vikramaditya came to Ujjaini with all the gifts. The happy citizens decorated the whole city. Then on a very auspicious time, Vikram was enthroned. That time, he gave gifts to the beggars to make them happy. Then he was free of worries. Then King Vikramaditya followed the worship of Shanidev. There were no troubles due to the blessings from him. The poet Tathyaji Mahapati says, this story is read in Maharashtra. I tried to bring the total essence, fundamental real meaning of the story and present it with the author's best ability to the faithful audience. And the author has tried his best to translate into English. Please remember, all obstacles are removed after listening to the story. Troubles from adverse position of planets in your horoscope that are very severe will also vanish for endless time. After listening to the story of the 9 planets, all pains will be gone, and all the planets will be pleased and will have mercy upon the listeners. Shanidev is recognized as a guardian to this author, as well as the readers of the story from all sorts of pains at all times. Just by visualizing the picture or idol of Shanidev through day and night, the faithful are protected by him. Their pains and poverty will vanish after listening to this story. This is the result of the story. Tathyaji Mahapati, who wrote this story, from the Gujarati version says, may Shanidev, who is fearsome but compassionate, be pleased with all of us and also remove our obstacles. This is the end of the story. This is the end of Shani Mahatmya.